All right, welcome everybody to our weekly Kwaai public meeting this Friday, April 26th. And we do have a wonderful meeting in store. I'll let Reza get us going, but we do have an update from Cristian. Yesterday was our first EMIR meeting. And for the lightning talk, we have Dave from, I don't want to say.
It's Cryptid. My last name's Grantham, and our company is Cryptid. Cryptid are mythological creatures because we feel like we're on a Sasquatch hunt.
Okay, good. So I didn't want to mispronounce it. And then, of course, we're going to have our work group updates. So I'm excited, and I'll let Reza kick it off.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. So April 26th, this is the 39th meeting of Kwaai, our weekly public meeting. Yesterday, we kicked off our EMIR launch. When Cristian comes on, then he can give us a rundown of that. He's not signed in yet. So let me give you an update of what happened this week. My calendar is absolutely full of meeting with new members, one-on-one meetings with new members, and also Toby has automated my LinkedIn profile so that now I've got numerous meetings with potential sponsors, investors, partners, all sorts of people in the Kwaai ecosystem, potentially in the Kwaai ecosystem, and that's great. It's great to be that busy, busier than I've ever been. I think even when I had a W-2 job, busier than that. What we're going to do is we're going to make those one-on-one meetings now an office hour. And so all the new members that joined in the previous week will come to a Monday office hour, and it'll be a joint meeting rather than lots of 15-minute one-on-one meetings. I think that's going to be a lot more productive. Also frees up my calendar a bit more so that we can have those really important meetings that are going to drive the movement forward. And those are forming the collaborations with key players in the ecosystem. So we are, there's a lot to cover this week. I see Cristian's on board. And Cristian, I'm going to make you a co-host so that you could present if you need to present some slides. But it'd be great if you were to give us a rundown of the kickoff of the EMIR group. And I'm kind of jealous because when you launched it, you actually had more people attending that kickoff meeting than we had at the main Kwaai meeting. So well done. Off you go, Cristian.
Okay, thank you, Reza. Yes, I was very surprised and also happy that a lot of people were connected through the first Kwaai EMEA chapter meeting. So this is a good starting point for this new community that I hope we will grow up sooner and quickly. Okay, today I don't want to keep too much time. I just want to briefly introduce what I said just in this meeting. Essentially, I trace a line of what will be my strategy in order to grow up this chapter, and essentially the basic rule is to follow what the Kwaai main chapter do in US, but with an approach that is much more focused on the EMEA region. So essentially, we will start with three working group. Essentially, the first working group, it will be regarding the policy group for EMEA region, where we will work about...
Cristian, do you have some slides to share, or are you going to...
I can share, okay, but I don't want to take too much time. Just
okay, no, just carry on. Carry on.
Okay, yeah. Okay, no, this I can do like that. Okay, let me share. I will try to do very quickly.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, this. Oh, okay. Perfect. So
Yes.
the first group, it will be the policy group for the EMEA region, where we can try to adapt the word Kwaai to this region. So we will try to get involved with different persons that would like to enjoy it, to help us to grow up this community. Also, we will have another group that it will be called Agritech Innovation Group. This is just starting from a request from an EMEA members that come from Africa that appreciate a lot. So we will start to in order to give voice to person that want to share knowledge and also issue to solve and to make them grow up with all the community efforts. So essentially, this group will talk about how to adapt AI in the context of agri-tech problems in the EMEA region, always with the Kwaai philosophy, to be open, to be shareable, and so on. The last group, it would be the cross-disciplinary collaboration group. This group aims to emphasize the multidisciplinary approach to AI in order to try to have different view from AI from different stakeholders that normally can see the world with other eyes, I say. So I believe that this will be a very good starting point. Also, we want to start with another nice idea that it will be the ambassador program. We want to develop this channel. The purpose is try to expand quickly our network in order to get involved with the different person, key person that can be expert, but also can be a normal person that want to be engaged in order to spread the message across their community. A lot of idea and a lot of new things that today currently is developing, and that something that already Reza doesn't know, but I have a lot of idea. For example, today I had a very nice meeting with another big association, very big, that their topic is to work on open science. Okay, I asked them to collaborate, and they say that we can try to have a collaboration. So wait to have a nice news in order to enlarge the community and to try to grow up all together. So I don't want to keep too much time, because if I begin to speak, I don't stop, and I want to let space to the US chapter in order to let them work.
Cristian, thanks so much. We're going to post the video of yesterday's kickoff meeting, and so everyone will be able to see that. So that'll probably happen at the weekend. Great, thank you very much. So Debbie, back to you. And you're muted. Yes, there we go.
Okay, so I guess now, thank you so much, Cristian. I was at the meeting and really I was so impressed. Looking forward to many more meetings with EMEA. And I guess next, Dave, are you ready for your presentation? Great.
Yes, I am. Can I take over screen sharing? I don't have any slides, but I have a few things I want to show.
Yeah, I'll make you co-host. How about that?
Thank you.
Just going to.
That's a pretty surreptitious picture of me. I don't remember that taken.
That was, remember the sort of backstage interview we did?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I'm Dave Grantham, one of the co-founders of Cryptid Technologies. Our website is, let me see if I can put it in the chat, cryptid.tech. As I pointed out earlier, the name has meaning. It's that's the name of mythological creatures, right? And when we first created this company, we felt like we were going to go try to find these mythical beasts that everybody has said exists, but nobody's ever seen one in the wild, like fully decentralized revocation, at scale, or a fully decentralized digital identity system, or a fully decentralized data provenance system, where a company that was founded by leaders in the early self-sovereign identity foundation, our self-sovereign identity community, and we came from Hyperledger and PayPal and Sovereign, and one of our co-founders, Rick, was basically one of the creators of the first self-sovereign identity company. And the reason we formed this company was because we realized that there's some really big problems that nobody in that community was addressing, and we thought that it was going to fatally flaw all of the solutions, and the end result is there hasn't been any major deployments. It hasn't solved any of the problems it originally said it would. So yeah, we've been on, I'm going to try my best in under 10 minutes to catch you up on 20 years of research. I can compress the first part into 2 minutes, and then the rest of it we'll talk about how it applies to AI. So I wanted to point out that our blog on our website, we have some articles that we've published over the years. It started off with a sort of an article on a unified theory of decentralization. What does it mean to say decentralization versus distributed? Our definition is that decentralization is about power. Well, the idea of decentralization is about power. Distributed is about computers. And we define decentralization as the direction in which user sovereignty, or like user control, increases. So as users have more and more control over their relationship with their data and systems, that's a more decentralized system. We followed that up quickly with principles of user sovereignty, which are 6 rules that guide all of our engineering. Things like absolute privacy by default, pseudonymity by default, open formats and protocols for all the data and communication, open, strong encryption, consent-based, user consent-based interactions, meaning I can revoke my consent in the future, take my data and go somewhere else. And then also what, not who, for any kind of authorization. So I'm a human, I should be able to access this. You don't need to necessarily know who I am, other than I'm a human, or whatever the rules are for that transaction. And then shortly on the heels of that, we wrote this fairly groundbreaking paper that this was actually the culmination of several years of research. So you can see the date here was 2021, but we really went down this road in 2018, early 2019, and then tested the ideas in the market in 2020, and finally just realized what we were actually doing was building a data economy where everything can be verified to be authentic. And in this sense, authenticity means we know where it came from. We have an unbroken chain of custody over the data, and we know that it either has not been modified, or if it has been modified, those modifications are transparent. So I think you can see where we're going with this, and how this, like the emergence of AI and LLMs, kind of was a puck we weren't skating towards, but it came out of nowhere, and now it's directly in front of us. So we weren't originally addressing AI when we went through the exercise, the research and development of trying to really fundamentally understand the problems, and to set up our guidelines and how we're going to build these systems. But it is now directly applicable basically to any kind of data on the internet, and is especially applicable to AI, which I'll get to in a minute. The last question I want to answer, that I know you guys are all wondering, is why did we first come out of the gate with a set of principles that we were going to stick to transparently? The reason is we believe we're tinkering with the fabric of the internet, and because society has merged with the internet, we're therefore tinkering with the fabric of society. We realized early on, and it was proven through the COVID years, that decentralized identity is extremely sensitive. It is one step away from building social credit systems. In fact, they are a brick in that road to that hell, if you're not careful. And so it has to be decentralized, which means it has to be users first, and they have to have their power to unplug and walk away. If they do not have the ability to remove themselves and their data from this system, then whomever controls it has the possibility of eventually controlling everything about our lives through a social credit system. That's the real danger here. And that is kind of why we went out on our own, because we were standing up and saying this, and people were, you know, hissing and booing and telling us to sit down. And yet now the only companies that exist are ones that are working closely with, let's just say, government loving, you know, citizen controlling loving kinds of organizations, people who actually want to centralize power and control everything in our lives. So anyway, we have dedicated ourselves to making sure that whatever we build cannot be used that way, and we've succeeded. And that's what I'm excited to tell you about today. So let me see here. So what we've built and why you're listening to me right now. I had like 3 days to talk to Reza about this, and so I'm trying to compress it down into something that's meaningful for all of you. We've done a bunch of research around how you can build verifiable chains of custody. So we've come to realize that a lot of the ills on the internet are caused by the fact that data comes without any attestation about its originality. Where did it come from? Who created it? As I like to say, you know, when you get a beer in me, I'm like, no more naked data, right? Everything on the internet right now accepts naked data. Facebook, Twitter, you know, Reddit, everybody can just post data. And there's no question about its authenticity. There's no question about where it came from, who created it originally, right? And I want to make a distinction here. We are not seeking the truth. So this is not an exercise in proving what is and isn't true. I think that's a false errand, actually. I think that's a red herring. I don't think that any of these systems should actually be dedicated to that. This is more about intellectual property than anything else. It's who actually owns this data, who created it originally, and do you have the right to transmit this or to post it here? And more importantly, actually, does the platform have the right to accept it and republish it? These are questions that are going to become really important as AI. Well, they're already important. I'll just say that right now. With the rise of AI, these have become front and center. So right now, the world exists on the internet in a way that is a block list, and it's a retroactive block list, meaning all the platforms accept arbitrary data. They don't question it. They just let you post. And then they retroactively go back and whack-a-mole anything that doesn't fit their politics, anything that doesn't fit, you know, what they think is true or not. It doesn't fit the rules. Like, you know, it's just it's a never-ending and unwinnable fight against for content moderation, right? Like, how many thousands of people are employed by Facebook just to go through and review all these posts and try to keep them off their platform? A better way to do this, and this was an insight I gathered, that I learned, helping build the OG metaverse. I used to work for Linden Lab back in the day. They made Second Life, and it was one of the first real digital economies where people created things, they could sell things. We had the first digital currency that was tradable in and out of fiat. And what we learned was that the only way to win that fight of content moderation is not to accept everything. It's to put the burden of proof on the person uploading or creating the content to prove that they truly own it, that they have the right to submit it. They are the owners. They're the intellectual property holders. The problem is we don't have a system for that. Or at least we didn't until very recently. There have been attempts at this before, and I'm just going to point out that here's an RFC. I know this is text, and this isn't really great for a presentation, but there was an RFC written a long time ago, like 2005. I think it got approved in 2005, RFC 4108. The goal of this RFC doesn't sound related, but I promise you it is. Let's see here. Let me go up to the top and get you the title. Using cryptographic message syntax to protect firmware packages. This was an early attempt to try to make it possible to verify the authenticity of firmware for hardware devices. You know, everything from pacemakers to fly-by-wire systems, to things that don't have a safety critical component like I don't know, an MP3 player or something, or a phone even, right? And they built it off of the X509 system, which is the certificate authority system, which, by the way, the certificate authority system is the very first authentic data economy system. We just said, hey, there's going to be these blessed companies that it's their job to verify your identity and then to bind your identity to cryptographic key pairs. And so you can trust those keys, and that's what powers the web and all of e-commerce. The authenticity piece is what makes e-commerce possible. I just want to point that out. But so back to the RFCs, what I wanted to show you is that in section 2.12, right here, this is the important part. Certificates is an optional collection of certificates, right? If there's no trust anchor if the trust anchor signed the firmware package directly, then certificates should be omitted, meaning you don't need the cryptographic key pairs to verify the signature if the source of it signed, or whatever the trust anchor is, whether it's a certificate authority or the issuing company or whatever. If it did not, then the certificates should be included so that you can verify the chain of signatures, right? So what they're saying here is that when you receive a piece of data, a firmware image that's signed, you need to have all of the public keys to be able to verify the data, all the way back to the original publisher. And when they talk about certificates, what they're saying is this is a binding between an identity and a cryptographic key pair, which I just pointed out. The certificate authority system, it's their job to do that. And that is the very first authentic data economy function. And it's been around for 20 years, right? You know, and the certificate authorities have been around since the late 90s. So we sort of know how to do this. But it's an entirely centralized system, and it's gate kept by the certificate authorities. To get a TLS certificate, to bind your identity to a key pair, you have to go and ask for permission. You have to pay them money. They do their job. They give you keys. Okay, it's very centralized. So how would you do this in a decentralized way? The first thing you have to understand is that there's not going to be any central authority sort of like vouching for you. In fact, we shouldn't trust a single authority. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to try to wrap this up as fast as I can. So we have this analog to digital conversion problem from the real world to digital. And so one of our key insights was that, again, back to truth, we're not seeking what is and isn't true. We just recognize that there's a threshold for every transaction, that if you gather enough corroborating evidence that satisfies, you know, the burden of proof over this threshold, then you can with confidence operate or make decisions based on it's probably true, right? So if I had 5 KYC vendors that were willing to vouch for me, saying, yes, I'm a human, they may not tell you who I am, but they're willing to say I'm a human and their records all match. I think having 5 separate companies say that meets a burden of proof of like, yeah, they're probably human, right? So this is a new security model called the corroboration-based security. Okay, so I'm just trying to put in some like bricks here to build a foundation. I'm going to move to how exactly this is important to AI. One of the main failings of all of the systems leading up to this point is that the identifiers used in the systems are cryptographic key pairs. They're public keys. So how do you refer to somebody who is bound to a key pair? Typically, all the systems are using public keys. And the problem with this is that key pairs change. They change often. And so any system, so if I have in my database, I have a reference to Reza, right? And that reference to his, say, you know, his server or his email address or whatever, if I'm storing a public key of his in my database, when he rotates his keys, my link to him breaks. And there's no global system for when he rotates his keys to like let everybody who has a copy of his key know. And we don't actually need this to solve this problem. But public keys as links don't work. There's a reason why we have the web, but not the web of trust. Because the links in web of trust are public keys. The links in the web are URLs, which actually have this really interesting property. They're valid, invalid, or partially valid. What I mean by partially valid is if you might have a full URL to a product page on Amazon, you go there, you get a page that's like, we don't know what you're talking about. So what do? You just go to Amazon.com, right? The actual part of it that's valid. And now you have access to their homepage or their launch pad. It gives you links to all of their services. So if I had a thing that an identifier that wasn't key paired based or based off of cryptographic keys that referenced something, some data from Reza that had all of his information in it, like here's an email address, or here's his signal, or here's, you know, the calendar for this meeting or whatever. Now I have built an identity linking system that works like URLs, where they can be valid, invalid, or partially valid. So when he rotates his keys, I have a URL that or I have a link to him that has a partially valid thing that's not key material, that's always the same, and then his public key. Well, if that's invalid, I just remove the public key. I go look at his, you know, say launchpad or homepage or whatever based off of this identifier, and I can see what his new key pair is or his new public key is. That thing I'm talking about, we call a provenance log. It's a cryptographic log, a cryptographically verifiable log of key history. And this is important because we now live in a world where a lot of data is digitally signed, which means as time goes by, there's going to be old data signed with old keys. And we will rotate to new keys, and there will be without provenance logs, there's no way to link your current key to the old keys signing the old data. And there's no way to go from old keys to new keys in a secure way. So you need to have these provenance logs. When we got there, and here's the punchline. When I got there, we realized that tracking key history was a very narrow use case of the general solution that provenance logs represent, which is tracking all data's history. We can combine the key rotations and key histories and the non-cryptographic key material based identifiers to build a system that's entirely global, that is fully decentralized, and can track the provenance in a verifiable way of any piece of data. The prototype that I was talking about and showing at IIW uses IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, which is a fully decentralized content addressable storage to store provenance logs. We are using the distributed hash table there to map these identifiers, which we call VLADs, very long-lived addresses, to the provenance logs. And we can also map, you know, public keys found in the wild to the provenance log, the key history, which has the VLAD in it, which then gets you the full key history. So here's where we're going with this, and what I talked to Reza about. We can now flip platforms on the internet from block lists to allow lists, which also means we can flip the training of AI models from block lists to allow lists. This is a proactive approach to say, I'm only going to train my model off of data that has provable provenance. We know where it came from. In fact, I think in my description of this, we're describing a new business model, or maybe an old business model, but a new way of doing it, where there are people who have large corpuses of data that are useful for training AI. They can use these provenance logs to assert their intellectual property rights over it. And then those of us training models can license or lease, or if it's open data, at least prove where it came from. So then any model we train, we now have a cryptographic record that's independently verifiable that says we did have the rights to use that data to train this model. Therefore, this model is our property. We own it and now can license it to other people legally. And also, we can build a regime where anything that it creates downstream that generates revenue, we have an automatic way to do rev splits back to the people who contributed the data to train it in the first place.
Dave, thanks so much for that. That was the slowest lightning talk ever we've had, but it was thrilling and vitally important to put the movement for personal AI. Thanks so much. And just before we move on to the agenda, Debbie, I wonder if you can get the agenda back up. You worked on Second Life. Phil Rosedale,
I did.
Yes, Phil Rosedale had my job some years before me at Real Networks. He was CTO at Real Networks, maybe a decade before I was.
Yeah.
So,
he and I used to be friends. I haven't talked to him in years, but we used to hang out all
me
the time.
neither. Yeah.
Talk
Okay.
big. Thank you for letting me bend your ear for, well, geez, 22 minutes. I totally failed in my time limit.
Don't worry, we'll compress the rest of the agenda. Great. Well, look, Debbie, get us back on track.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave. I guess next is our engineering update. So Balaji, come on down.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you can hear me. So from the engineering side, again, I'm reporting on two fronts. One, new volunteer intake. I was working with a few volunteers, helping them set up POCs, getting some hands-on code working. On the other side, the MVP, the build the agent, not bot anymore. It's all agents now. So it's build the agent project that we got with the Arcus Nexus team and Reza, and we hashed out a few more details, getting that particular prototype spec moving. So we have a product requirement document getting prepared by the Arcus Nexus team, which will be published once it's complete. And then we inch forward on that front. That's pretty much it.
Thanks. And who do we have up next? And maybe since Doc's on the line as well, Roman, can you give us an update on the architecture? You worked with Doc during the week. And,
sure. We had a very interesting meeting with Doc, conversing a lot of very future-psyched features that we need on the architecture. And basically, we want to incorporate a concept of time and space on our architecture in order to improve the RAG and make it more usable in terms of the usage of spacing via coordinates and dates marked on emails and other account statements or other useful things that today is a pain, and we need to give it some engineering and architecture. So the concept of space and time will be incorporated. And the other thing is the visualization of the data, having a component that could present, centralize, and aggregate all the data to be presented via the abilities. So basically, that's it. I don't know if Doug want to give a few words, but a very interesting conversation, and we are glad to have him on the work group. Thank you so much, Doc.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure the mic works. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if it's working through this or not. Yeah, I thought I was learning from Roman, showing all the diagrams and everything of how the architecture works. So basically, I thought it was an educational session for me. So I'm just really pleased to see the progress is being made and what it looks like and what you're doing. And just
Doc, there was one key ingredient you talked about, not replicating. Let's not replicate the sort of iOS app ecosystem where you've got all of these apps that don't talk to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So
can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. This is one of those times when you realize that the obvious has not been apparent to you for a long time, and I'm talking about myself here. We're the closest thing we have to digital embodiment to a personal life in the world of computing are the files in our laptops, are the files in our computers, and that's our collected memory that we have for ourselves, and it is coherent. It's all sitting inside of a Unix directory, basically. If you're on a Mac, it's Unix. If you're on a Windows, it's Unix-like. If you're on Linux, it is Unix of a sort. But with the app world, they're all silos. They're all separate silos. Those files are living inside an app, and that app is generally not yours. You don't even know where it is. It's hard to search across it, all that stuff. So that was a bit of a learning for me, and it just kind of popped up during IIW, which is last week. And we need, if we're going to do personal AI, we have to have it. We need all of the information on which our AI is trained in a coherent form under our control. And I could see that in the architecture that Roman was showing us. So, and I like that. So
okay, so call to action. Anyone that's got an opinion on what the architecture should be, first of all, sign up, find Roman, come and join the working group meetings. It's pretty exciting. You know, you're at the ground floor of something that is going to make a difference. Thanks, Doc. Let's move on with the agenda. Who's up next? Debbie?
Sorry. Yes. So Carson, community update. I know you said you were on the go, so if you can just enlighten us.
Yeah, no, I'm here now. Thanks. At the keyboard. So I'm going to be quick about this, but well, maybe I'll do a presentation on this in the future. So I was going to share my screen, but I don't want to take a lot more time. I just wanted to just give folks a quick update of what I'm up to. If you see me around, things that you know, Toby and I are working on, co-producing a hackathon. That's been a chunk of energy. That's sort of like an outreach focused part of things. But where it comes to looking inward at the community, I'm focusing my time in two different pieces. One is anybody who is taking any kind of leadership role or interested in doing that, from the board to individual working group leaders, like all this, like that. Just an opportunity to meet one-to-one, hear what's important to you all, like how do you like to get things done? What are you finding that's frustrating in these open source communities, that kind of thing, and see if we can help, you know, just sort of one-to-one coaching to some degree, to just, or even just a, you know, a private space to talk things out, to understand. Because we've got, you know, a couple of decades of experience going through a lot of different communities, and hopefully I can, you know, help bring some answers or at least some insight for you. And the second part is looking over everything we've got going as an open source and an open source AI project, and essentially doing kind of an audit and then list of a gap analysis. What are the things that we want to have in place that aren't in place? So a couple of the things I'll flag right away that we'll be wanting to be working on as a community is going to be our governance. Excuse me. Which is, you know, essentially how things get done, how decisions are made, all the way down to the individual level. And then our code of conduct, which is, you know, not just a piece that really says how we want to interact in the world, but also tells the world when they come to look at us, you know, what kind of place this is and that we care about those sort of things. And so even just having those things in progress is going to be really helpful. And I'll put a link into chat for those who are interested in exactly what kind of items I'm looking for when it comes to what are healthy communities, what are things that you look for in an open source community that really makes things, that lets you know that things are going well, and or anti-patterns that you have to worry about. And so anybody who's interested in that kind of conversation and stuff, let me know. We don't actually have a working group on this yet, but we could consider forming a working group that was focused around community management and such. Thank you.
Austin, thanks so much. That's super important. We actually have the templates of it. Our attorneys, so, you know, acting on pro bono, they gave us an entire volunteer handbook template. So maybe
right, and it's a perfect example. One of the things that we're trying to learn to manage around this is, you know, there's volunteers at a foundation, there's open source contributors, there's how open source governance can work, how fun, like, so we're looking at how we're going to mesh those things. In some ways, we're not doing things that are entirely new, but we're learning how to do some things that haven't been done this way exactly.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your leadership in that. Debbie, who's up?
Right, so thank you so much, Carson. And Toby, marketing.
Yes. Yes. Hello. So a couple of things. We got the deck. Carson was able to get the deck created this week. So we'll start circulating that in the Slack group for people so they can help socialize to their network. We're starting on a branding package for the event. So just full on like logo and social media template kind of designs that people can use to socialize. And also we've gotten a couple more sponsors. I know, Reza, you're talking about funding and sponsors.
Yeah.
Do you want me to wait?
No, you should dive in.
Okay, so we did get confirmation from DataStax, which is good friends, and they're going to come on board and they're going to bring some friends with them. Also, Fulton County Chairman Pitts. Thank you, Chairman Pitts. Fulton County is going to work with us to create some sort of an entertainment focused. We don't know if it's going to be a hackathon or something more. We talked about like a dinner for Kwaai in his district. His area is where all of the movie studios in Atlanta are located. So really, really good connection. I mean, literally, he was with Kwanzaa on a trip and was kind of ear hustling and heard well, I don't want my county to get left out. What can I do? And literally kind of stepped up on the fly. So thank you, Chairman Pitts. Can't wait to figure out what the heck we're going to do. But
we
man,
need to
Georgia,
shake out our Hollywood Rolodexes
yes.
and get some participation.
Ted Cohen, I saw you in the room creeping.
Right. Hey, Ted. Yeah, so look, tell them about the whole tax credit opportunity in Atlanta.
Yeah, so also
Toby,
there's
I only need 5 minutes.
all right. So basically they have a program where they're offering for corporations, it's up to 90% of your tax bill can be allocated to this program, and where Kwaai is going to be a vendor, a registered vendor of this program. And this program is going to offer educational courses to public schools.
Yeah.
And so we think that they think that Kwaai is going to be a great requested vendor, especially because of our entertainment and media richness in our community. So we need to put together some awesome content. But yeah, this is going to be a really meaningful relationship.
Fantastic. It's 90% for corporations. It's
75 for individuals. That's right. That's right. So everyone, if you know people that live in the state of Georgia or are headquartered in Georgia, please queue them up. We'd love to have part of their tax bill go to this fund. Even if Kwaai is not the beneficiary of all the money, we'd love to see this go to AI and be a part of helping get this funded. And then also, anybody on the policy team, you guys need to talk to Kwanzaa and replicate this in other states. We've already got someone from, I think, Colorado that wants me to connect them with the team from Georgia. But anybody else in our community, in the policy team, like if you guys want to connect with them, I think it's a great program to learn how to replicate in other counties. So that's all for now. And just amplify, you guys. Just remember, share the post that we're doing. Tell people, if you have a company or product yourself, remember all of you get a community sponsorship. So please, we're going to be sharing a form very soon where you can basically submit your company and the logo, and we'll start adding it to all of this marketing material that we're creating for the event. And the response has been great. I got to tell you, like the event, man, thank you everybody, and just keep the good positive vibes going.
Okay, so quickly, let's get so my slots next. So my emphasis has been on funding and sponsors, and it'll be more I'm going to double down on that. So Debbie, thank you for clearing my calendar. She's basically consolidated all of the one-on-one meetings I have with newbies, with new members. Those are consolidated now into an office hour on Monday. So all the new members that joined in the previous week will now be invited to come and participate in an office hour. And if they can't make it that week, then they can make it the other week. That frees up more of my calendar, about 30% of the time, to take these calls with sponsors and donors and potential partners. And wow. Thank you so much, Toby, for lighting up my LinkedIn profile. I did not know, for lighting up my network and automating. I used to hate having these automated messages go out, but wow, they really work. And it finds connections that you forgot that you had. A college buddy now is a CTO of a massive fund of funds. This is the fund that funds VCs, and so
They're also one of the biggest holders of crypto for all the Web3 guys
Right,
on the
right.
call here.
So, this is just an amazing gem that I would not have reached out to this person I'd not spoken to in 40 years, class of 1984. Well, how's that possible? I'm only 30. So, it's amazing what we have, the value we have in our collective network. Kwaai is a super intelligence of some of the smartest minds, the critical thinkers around the AI space. You're looking at yourself. That's you. You're part of this super intelligence. And we are all drawn together by this sort of vague angst that maybe AI is not heading in a safe direction, and there's something we can do about it. We have the arrogance to say, hey, there's something we can do about it. And I like that, Balaji, a collective conscience as well. Look, let's Debbie, why don't you get some of the new members who've joined? We're at 333 members, aiming for 1,000 before the year's up, but we're doubling every quarter, so we'll probably blow through that. Let's hear from some of the new voices.
Yes. So if you're new, I put a message and you want to say hello. I'm not as good as Reza. So please raise your hand so we can identify you. Otherwise, Ted Cohen is going to take over a 5-minute slot or 3-minute slot because he did say he wanted to speak. So I want to give him this 3 minutes. I really enjoyed his talk last week, so I'm excited. But if you're new and you want to say hello.
Cam's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. There's three.
Start with you. I apologize.
Yeah, hey, I'll be real quick. So I'm Dave's Grantham's business partner. I'm the chief operating officer at Cryptid, longtime technology startup guy, and primarily coming out of the payment space. I was at PayPal for the better part of 8 years and been working with Mike and Dave and our fourth co-founder, Rick Cranston, on Cryptid for the last 4 years, and it was all born out of Doc's community of the Internet Identity Workshop. So lovely to be here.
And Doc said you are certifiable cool.
Wow, that's high praise, Doc. Thank you.
Right. So absolutely. Then we have
that cut off. It said Cam is certifiable on my display here. Okay.
And I can't speak. So John Connors next, and then Johnson. That's.
Sorry, I have trouble unmuting. Thank you. What a great community here. I'm a startup consultant working on the business side. Community is my focus, Kirsten, and Toby reached out to me about the hackathons. I run a series of hackathons called Restorathon, and I'm super stoked about the idea of using AI to make the United States government more accountable to the people. And so some of the things we've been talking about with the Kennedy administration or campaign and hopefully administration is making the EPA more accountable to the people with ecosystem monitoring technology. Toby and I were chatting about making dash cam photo, videography from police analyzed by AI. I'm just really stoked about that, and anybody in the policy world or anybody who wants to create a decentralized little brother, if you will, to keep track of Big Brother. So we have a government that works for all people.
So we ward off Skynet.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, no one's made that joke to you before. Okay.
No, I've never heard that before, ever, never.
Okay, who's up next? Johnson.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a great experience listening to all these amazing work being done. I'm currently working as a data analyst. I'm a computer science graduate in 2022. The reason why I joined Kwaai AI is because I do think AI is being neglected, or AI safety is being neglected. I think a lot of people is more focused on advancing its capabilities, and a lot fewer people are working towards making sure that AI is transparent and it can't be used at the cost of the people. I think it definitely has potential to be disastrous if that happens, and so that's why I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnson. And do I have anybody else? Anyone? All right, Matt.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to prove that I don't sound like a robot like I did last week. So my name is Matt Simpson. I'm the Director of IT at Queen's Health Sciences at Queen's University. I joined the public meeting last week for the first time and was really entertained and enthused by what I heard. And been, really looking forward to taking part of the community. So thanks.
Thanks, Matt. That's great.
Anyone else?
You know we're going to call on you.
Oh, well, you are, my dear.
Of course, Tim, like, yeah, I want to talk.
I just want to know if anybody identified the picture behind me.
Oh my word! Okay, let's pin that one up.
Yeah, let's see. Are we one of the Star Trek engine rooms, right? I don't know which series.
No, that's the hive mind of the Krell.
Oh, damn it!
He said it earlier too.
I thought it was appropriate for this gathering.
Yeah, you're killing me. Okay.
Alex, you still here? I know Alex is new. Who else? Come on, say hi, Alex. Or he left? Did he leave? Anybody else you guys see? Come on. Where you at, Nubians?
And anybody's looking to connect on LinkedIn and increase the network and so on, go ahead and drop your link in chat, and we can. And if you when you come into the Slack channels, there's an introductions channel as well. If anyone wants to drop a self-introduction in there too, that's a good place to make sure folks can find you.
Right. So if you've only signed up as an observer, you don't get Slack access. If you've signed up as volunteer or advisor or above, then you'll get Slack access. That gets you access to the work groups and all of the work products. We love to have your participation in what we're doing. There's just fabulous work going on in trying to craft the architecture of a personal AI operating system. We often get pushback on, why are you calling it an operating system? This is not the software that's going to run on my laptop that's going to enable applications. Well, we're messing with the term operating system because we're messing with what is the notion of the computer. The computer that runs our lives is in fact a collection of cloud services, IoT devices, wearables, and mobile devices and our computers. So it's that layer of software that runs on top of it that needs to really enshrine our guiding principles, the guiding principles of Kwaai about privacy of data, control of your own data and your own AI, the ability to grant and revoke entitlements to third parties to engage with it. But all of this is in service of putting you in charge of your own digital persona and inverting the model from B to C to me to be. Now you're in the driving seat. You set the terms and conditions, and AI in that way will be an uplifting technology rather than one that's going to further monetize us or further expropriate value from us. Let's see. We're going to post the weekly meetings. If anyone is up for a lightning talk for next week or subsequent weeks, hit me up. Send me an email, or you can find me on LinkedIn if you want to do a 10-minute lightning talk, much like Dave did, but half the length. and that would be great. And then we will be posting every so often. We post on LinkedIn the event. We're going to be doing that more. Anyone that wants to participate in the hackathons, contact Toby, contact Carsten, anybody that's interested in the governance of the organization, send Carsten a message, and we're going to move that along as well. Straight after this event, we hold what we used to call a hackathon. It's kind of an idea exchange, and the idea exchange, we hack on all sorts of things. Sometimes we're hacking on software, sometimes we're hacking on business models. And so if someone can post the link to that to the hackathon straight after this, then it's kind of an overflow from this conversation. Great. Okay, I see it's going up. And wow, lots of shout outs. Again, I want to shout out for Barrett Booth. Barrett Booth has brought us 40 new members to Kwaai. Barrett Booth is a technical recruiter, and he had a conversation with us at the summit, and we said, hey, AI's done a number on this industry. There's lots of talented folks that are now between jobs. Don't spend your time unemployed. Do a tour of duty at Kwaai. That's an investment. You have something to put on your LinkedIn profile then. You know, it's not an empty gap in your resume. You've done something meaningful. You've been working on either personal AI, either you could be indulging in fundamental AI research. That's one of our tracks. Or you could be working in our policy track and helping craft legal language or policy that anticipate in society and in the workplace. So there's all sorts of ways in which we can move the movement forward. Thank you so much for coming along. Happy Kwaai Day, and we'll see you on the hackathon call straight after this.
Happy Kwaai Day, everybody.
Happy Kwaai Day. Thank you for coming.